Newsfirst. Main sponsor.
Anka eke arakshita ikigini petti. Surya Gini Petti.
LB Yasa Isuru, an unparalleled reward for a trusted deposit.
Your hygiene partner.
Introducing new Safeguard 100 grams, rupees 175 only.
Good evening. It's the 1st of October 2022. We at News First would like to wish everyone a happy World Children's Day. For the News First team, I'm Sanita Senanayaka. Before we take a look at the stories for this evening in detail, let's take a look at your headlines.
Petrol prices reduced from midnight. Social Security contribution levy comes into effect today. Estate workers take to the streets, say cost of living is unbearable. Was the rehabilitation bill introduced to suppress the Aragale protesters?
නොමග ගියපු දරුවෝ බොහොමයක් ඉන්නවා. ඉතින් මම හිතනවා සානුකම්පිතව බලලා ඒ දරුවන්ව සමාජගත කිරීමේ වැඩපිළිවෙලක් ක්‍රියාත්මක කරන්න ඕනේ.
ඒ ජොන්ස්ටන් කල්ලිය පොහොට්ටු දේශ පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට පුනරුත්ථාපනය කරන්න ඕනේ. අපිට පේනවා මේක පිටිපස්සේ තියෙන්නේ වෙන දුෂ්ට අරමුණක් කියන එක.
World Children's Day celebrated. Sri Lanka's longest painting unveiled. Starting tonight, behind the scenes of the Sri Lanka Army.
On to your top story this evening. President Ranil Wickremesinghe, in his capacity as the Minister of Defence, has issued an extraordinary gazette revoking the previous gazette issued declaring several areas in Colombo as high security zones. On Friday the 23rd of September, Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe declared multiple areas in Colombo as high security zones. As per the gazette, the head of state has revoked the order issued by him on September 16, 2022 under Section 2 of the Official Secret Act number 32 of 1955 and published in the Gazette Extraordinary number 2298/53 of September 23rd, 2022. Moving on, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has reduced the price of petrol. Accordingly, from midnight today, the price of a litre of 92-octane petrol will be reduced by 40 rupees, while the price of a litre of 95-octane petrol will be reduced by 30 rupees. The new prices are as follows. 92-octane petrol, 410 rupees per litre. 95-octane petrol, 510 rupees per litre. Prices of other petroleum products, such as kerosene and diesel, will remain unchanged. Meanwhile, Managing Director of the Lanka IOC, Manoj Gupta, told News First that LIOC prices will also be reduced. In more local news, Minister of Power and Energy, Kanchana Wijesekara, says Unit 3 of the Norochole power plant, which broke down recently, has been fixed and reconnected back to the national grid. The minister says that both units are now operating at full capacity. He added that the ongoing 3-month-long routine overhaul maintenance work on Unit 2 is expected to be completed by mid-October. The third unit at the Norochole power plant recently broke down, resulting in only 300 megawatts of 900 megawatts being generated. Today is World Children's Day. Instead of limiting the celebrations to just one day, we did something different. Children from all across the island contributed to creating a one-of-a-kind artwork that was completed and unveiled today.
MTV Channels Private Limited, Sri Lanka's largest media network, together with little ones from across the island, celebrated World Children's Day today at the Vihara Mahadevi Park. The Vihara Mahadevi Park overflowed with families from across the island, joining in this celebration of children, the future of our nation. Began this morning with Mayoress of Colombo, Rosie Senanayaka, joining in as well.
United We Stand is a theme that should be taken into our hearts. We should all have the ability to think as one. We come into this world not to compete with each other or to become a big person in society. We come into this world to help each other, treat each other as equals and do good to our society and country.
CEO of Sirasa TV, Susara Dinal, spoke about the value of giving children freedom. Beloved children, this is your day. This is not a day for us adults to just speak to you. At least today, let's give our children a break from tuition classes. At least today, let's give our children a break from tuition classes and give them some freedom. Group Director of the Capital Maharaja Group, Siobhan Daniel, shared his thoughts as well. I believe that if our adults think like our children, our country would be in an entirely different place today. It's not too late. We have a responsibility to shape the future of the children here today. Through this work of art, the children of Sri Lanka are clearly telling us that they want a united nation. Children from rural areas from across Sri Lanka have etched their dreams on this painting, and we are all here today dedicated to help these children realize that dream.
තමන්ගේ සිහින සහ අනාගත බලාපොරොත්තු තමයි ඒ චිත්‍රය සටහන් කළේ. ඉතින් ඒ බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනුවෙන් තමයි අපි මේ සියලු දෙනා අද මෙතන කැපවී සිටින්නේ.
The day at the park was filled with interactive activities. The children here were given the opportunity to be a part of a novel experience in adding color to the longest painting in South Asia. This record-breaking painting was successfully completed by children from across the country. Children were given the taste of taking on challenges through the sport of climbing. For many children here, this was the first time that they experienced the sport of climbing, and many displayed instinctive ability in this Olympic sport. The enthusiasm among children to take part in the climbing activity was phenomenal. A reading camp was organized to stimulate the minds of kids and promote the reading habit. An art zone was also set up to enhance the creative talents of children. Several creative activities were also available for children in the Maliban and Signal zones. The Safeguard Zone was a place where children could take part in other exciting experiences. The Gum at the Tech Bus provided an opportunity for children to experience virtual reality, while they were also given an opportunity to appear for a screen test on TV. The children present for the celebrations today went back home with many unforgettable memories. The epitome of the celebrations was when the longest painting in Sri Lanka, put together by children from across the island, done over a period of a month, was completed and unveiled. Minister of Education Susil Premajayantha was present at the event. This painting was organized and coordinated by artist Hemantha Varakapitiya. Secretary to the Ministry of Education Nihal Ranasinghe also spoke at the event. We wanted to give these children who have been studying in this school system for the past 2 years some refreshing experience. We wanted to give the children the strength to enter their academic and other creative activities. I can see that this objective has been accomplished today. Minister of Education Susil Premajayantha spoke about the multiple challenges faced during the current times. I believe that we have much to do in the future to create a generation of children that can overcome challenges and create a youth favorable to the country. Our objective is to foster humbleness and intelligence among our children. This is our national task. I see the gum at their initiative when I watch news at night. It is a really good initiative. I plan on doing something on that scale in Colombo within the next 2 weeks. We expect your assistance in this endeavor. Massive crowds flowed into the Vihara Mahadevi Park all day today to join in on the celebrations of International Children's Day. Organized by MTV Channels Private Limited, this celebration of children is only the beginning of something much bigger. To have the best interest for the future of our country is to act to ensure the safety and development of our children. An investment in our children is an investment for the future of the country. Our children need to be given a solid foundation to stand on. Our children's health and education must be prioritized. Sri Lanka's largest media network, MTV Channels Private Limited, that includes Sirasa TV, Shakti TV, TV1, News First and Stein Studios, is dedicated to the people and to the children of our nation and their future.
In more local news, a group of estate workers protested today demanding an increase in their wages. They say their incomes need to be increased if they are to ensure a better future for their children amidst the ongoing economic and social crisis.
The protest organized by the Ceylon Estate Workers Association was held in Thalawakele. Despite heavy showers, the group protested demanding a 75% salary increment. We are the innocent people who bring in dollars to the country. We don't get a proper wage. We get paid only 5 to 6%. That is not enough when inflation has gone up by 70 to 78%. We can't provide proper nutrition to our children. We can't even give our children eggs or sprats. We strongly demand that our salaries be increased by 75%. We're struggling to make ends meet. We're asking for just 75%, which is very fair. If you fail to do so, we will continue this struggle. The protesters dispersed after a few hours.
Speaking at a press conference today, the Women's Movement for Freedom questioned measures taken by the government to resolve the problems faced by the people and children in the midst of the economic crisis. Many parents are struggling to provide for their children's food, health and education needs, which means the children are being pushed into an abyss and their future appears dark. The best solution provided by the government for this problem is to reduce the childhood age. Children above 16 were given the opportunity to go to work. In fact, there is a chance that the education of these children will be lost. We as a country need to be concerned about this. With the current economic problems, children over 16 often find themselves in a job that involves cheap labor. Another big decision concerning children is one taken by the government to look into the family background report of mothers looking for foreign employment. But now it has been lowered by 3 years. Children should not be responsible for this problem at all. Children did not smuggle the dollars in this country. Children did not cause the dollar reserves to fall. Children did not use loans illegally. Children did not send people to parliament to make decisions concerning them. Therefore, children should not be held responsible for this problem at all. But the rest of us, we are all responsible as adults.
In line with World Children's Day, a 5 million rupee bus was delivered to the Bambalapitiya Hindu College under the Sakpala program today. Opposition leader Sajid Premadasa attended the event. The opposition leader who arrived on this bus received a warm welcome from the children. You are the future of this country. We are most certainly committed to protecting all your rights as you take charge of the future of this country. Your safety, care, right to education, right to nutrition, and a life free from violence must be secured. In addition to an era in which protection is strengthened, it is our ambition to raise up a strong and an energetic generation. We hope to strengthen the children of this country to create a society full of educated people. If life is full of violence and persecution, we will remove these challenges. We will ensure the children get 3 nutritious meals daily and become physically fit. The opposition leader actively interacted with the school children. The new train service Kandy Odessi was launched earlier today. We'll bring you more details right after this short commercial break. Stay with us.
News First. Main sponsor.
Anko eke araksita itigini petti. Surya gini petti.
මොකද මහත්තයා මේ
නෑ මේ ගෙදර සිංක් එකේ
අයි මහත්තයා ස්නෝන් නෙවෙයිද දැම්මේ
හදිස්සියට බාල පයිප්පයක් දැම්මේ නැද්ද මුදලාලි ඊයේ පෙරේදා කඩේ රිපෙයාර් කරන්න ගෙනාපු ගම් චුට්ටා
මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්න වලට හොඳම විසඳුම ස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටා හැබැයි ඉක්මනින් දාගන්න ස්ලෝන් පයිප්පයක්
ස්ලෝන් ගම් චුට්ටා හැම ගෙදරකම සිටිය යුතු ජනනල කාර්මිකයා දැන් රඟම ග්‍රොසරියෙන් මිලදී ගන්න.
Here's a complete revolution. 25 for 50. Now, LB Finance introduces a high interest rate of 25% for your 50-day fixed deposits. LB Yasa Isuru, an unparalleled reward for a trusted deposit.
Welcome back to the news. The Social Security levy of 2.5% will be implemented from today. State Minister of Finance Shehan Semasinghe says that the Social Security levy, recently approved by Parliament, will be implemented accordingly. Will the prices of certain goods increase due to this levy? With this tax, there will be a slight increase in the price of certain goods. In particular, we have tried to minimize the impact on goods. It has been understood that the current state of government revenue is very low, and these taxes have been increased and levied in order to increase government revenue and transform the situation into creating a favorable economy. Amidst the current economic crisis, some people are able to earn a living. But for others, it's difficult to carry out their day-to-day activities. There are those that will somehow fulfill their basic needs, but for others, it's just a dream. This is the story of one such family from Godakavela in Ratnapura.
Chamara Nadika is a 14-year-old born with disabilities. Chamara's mother and father have suffered endlessly to keep him alive since he was born. This family of 4 made ends meet by plucking coconuts from the trees in the village. But he's no longer able to do that job after suffering a spinal injury several years ago. Chamara's twin sister Jaini is studying in the midst of many of these challenges. Chamara and Jaini's mother, Chantani, takes care of this family with the little money she earns from plucking tea leaves.
When I go to pluck tea leaves, I earn 500 to 600 rupees. I then buy a small packet of milk. I add a little milk from the packet and 5 to 6 tablespoons of rice flour and give the milk to the child when he cries.
This small house that they live in gets wet on rainy days.
I don't really have a place to sleep. The whole house gets inundated. This child doesn't have clothes left to wear for school in the morning. The clothes are all wet in the morning because the roof is leaking. That's why we're trying to cover it with an umbrella.
Their only hope is to earn a living.
While the people of the country are growing weary by a variety of issues, the main concern raised by political parties and trade unions is suppression. The discourse has accelerated following the recently presented Bureau of Rehabilitation Bill.
The law should be applied to those who led the Aragalaya, and the law should be applied to those who supported it. But there are many youngsters who went with the flow, many youngsters who have gone astray. Also, many people went to visit these protests. So if the law is implemented and they are put behind bars, or if they are unable to get a police report to work overseas, it isn't fair. I think we should look sympathetically and implement a program to rehabilitate those youngsters. There is freedom in this country, and this country should become a safe country. We saw that the leader of the opposition was beaten up. It doesn't matter if our houses were set on fire. The leader of the opposition was also beaten. Not only that, robberies took place, murders are happening, and the underworld is raising its head. If these are not dealt with, economic growth in this country will be impossible. Therefore, the necessary laws should be implemented.
මේ ආර්ථික වර්ධනයකට යන්න බෑ. ඉතින් ඒ සඳහා අවශ්‍ය නීති ක්‍රියාත්මක කළ යුතුයි.
පොඩි රාජපක්ෂ නාමල් රාජපක්ෂ මීට
Around 3 to 4 months ago, little Rajapaksa, Namal Rajapaksa, said that members of the Aragalaya must be rehabilitated. Regulations to set up a rehabilitation bureau are being prepared. The politicians, including Johnston Fernando, must be rehabilitated. This is like a concentration camp run by Hitler. Joseph Stalin of the Soviet Union used to run torture camps called gulags. We urge Justice Minister Vijayadasa Rajapaksa to withdraw this bill.
යෝජනාව වහාම හකුලා ගන්න කියලා අපි විජේදාස රාජපක්ෂ අධිකරණ අමාත්‍යවරයාට මේ වෙලාවේ දැනුම් දෙන්න කැමතියි.
Meanwhile, the lawyers of the struggle made a revelation at a press conference held today. If this struggle had been carried out superseding the constitution, this president will not be in office today. The 225 won't be in parliament today. But today, Vasantha Mudalige is being taken to visit a grand mansion in Malwana that was initially said to be owned by Basil Rajapaksa, and later he denied that the house was his. The history of the police department is marred with many black marks. We are worried as to if the police will take Vasantha Mudalige to a location and claim that he tried to escape and shoot and kill him. If any of the student leaders' lives are harmed, everyone involved in signing the detention order must be held responsible for it. They are on the verge of bringing forward a program that is far more dangerous than the PTA. That's the Rehabilitation Bureau. The government can implement a program to suppress those who oppose it in the name of rehabilitation. We will have to unite against this. Today, the president is traveling to countries like Japan and asking for their support. There are people in Japan who have been in rehabilitation centers. Those very people are suffering psychologically for the torture that they endured for 80 to 90 years. But while we're asking for money from them, our authorities are doing the same thing that took place in Japan. Will Japan give us aid? They will not be able to deceive the international community and diplomats the way they deceived the SLPP MPs, party members and Pradeshya Sabha members. A signature campaign that began from Monoragala demanding to immediately repeal the Prevention of Terrorism Act continued in the Badula district today. The campaign that initially began from Jaffna will conclude in the Hambantota district tomorrow.
Meanwhile, the former Commissioner of the Human Rights Commission of Sri Lanka, Ambika Satkunathan, has filed a fundamental rights petition at the Supreme Court of Sri Lanka challenging the bill titled Bureau of Rehabilitation Act. The petition emphasizes that the provisions of the bill are inconsistent with the fundamental rights enshrined in the Constitution of Sri Lanka.
The petition states that the bill purports to establish a bureau for the rehabilitation of drug-dependent persons, ex-combatants, members of violent extremist groups and any other group of persons who require treatment and rehabilitation. Moreover, the petitioners allege that these categories have not been properly defined and do not clarify how persons may qualify for rehabilitation under these categories. In addition to assuming that members of violent extremist groups and drug-dependent persons require that same approach to rehabilitation. Satgunanathan in her petition states, the use of vague and arbitrary clarifications leads to persons being detained for rehabilitation for even participating in protests, as recent arrest of protesters under the Prevention of Terrorism Act have demonstrated. The petitioner further states that under this bill, the rehabilitation process has been militarized and allows the president to designate any member of the armed forces to exercise, perform and discharge the powers, duties and functions under the Act. The petitioner therefore requests the Supreme Court to declare several sections of the bill as outlined in the petition inconsistent with the Constitution of Sri Lanka as they violate the fundamental rights and sovereignty of the people.
We'll go in for another commercial break. Stay with News First.
ලොවටම එළිය දෙන්න දිලෙන සූර්යා අමතක වෙන්නෙම නැති නමගේ සූර්යා මොහොතින් දැල්වෙන ගිනි කුර සූර්යා කවදත් නමගත් ගිනි පෙට්ටි සූර්යා කවදත් නමගත් ගිනි පෙට්ටි සූර්යා කවදත් කොතනත් සමගේ විශ්වාසය දිනාගත් අංක 1 ආරක්ෂිත ඉටිගිනි පෙට්ටි සූර්යා ගිනි පෙට්ටි.
A trusted place for your fixed deposit. Valuable FD. 25% for 2 months. 25.5% for 4 months. Valuable FD. The symbol of stability.
Welcome back to the news. As it was mentioned in the headlines, Minister of Transport Bandha Gunawardena today launched the Kandy Odyssey train service between Colombo Fort and Kandy.
Minister of Transport Bandha Gunawardena today launched the Kandy Odyssey train service between Colombo Fort and Kandy. The new train service has been launched for the benefit of local and foreign tourists visiting the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic and the Peradeniya Botanical Gardens in Kandy. The Kandy Odyssey will function every weekend and will leave Colombo Fort at 6:30 a.m. and is scheduled to reach Kandy at 9:18 a.m. The train will also leave Kandy at 4:50 p.m. and arrive at Colombo Fort railway station at 7:40 p.m. The duration of the train journey is 2 hours and 48 minutes. A first class ticket is priced at 2,000 rupees and a second class ticket is priced at 1,500 rupees.
Today marks the 73rd anniversary of the founding of the People's Republic of China.
Issuing a message on the 73rd anniversary of the People's Republic of China, Chinese Ambassador to Sri Lanka, Kee Zeng-hong, thanked Sri Lankans from all walks of life, stating that they have, quote-unquote, always been following and supporting the development of China and China-Sri Lanka relations. According to the statement, quote, under the strong leadership of CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping as the core, China has overcome adverse effects brought by complex international challenges, sporadic outbreaks of COVID-19 pandemic and unpredictable earthquakes, floods and droughts, unquote. The statement went on to note that immediately after Sri Lanka encountered the most serious difficulties, the Chinese government provided 500 million RMB as emergency humanitarian assistance. The statement added that local governments, friendship organizations, Buddhist temples and even primary school pupils from China lent a helping hand, proving once again that China is a most sincere and reliable friend of Sri Lanka. According to the statement issued by the Chinese ambassador, neither the COVID-19 pandemic, the economic crisis, the domestic political change, nor the external interferences can obstruct the friendly exchanges between the two peoples.
A special Swim for Safety program for more than 300 school children was held to commemorate the World Children's Day today. The program was organized by Sri Lanka Life Saving.
The event was held under leadership and guidance of the Benthota Seahorse Aquatic Sports Club at Benthota Beach. Sri Lanka Life Saving is the only internationally recognized organization in Sri Lanka to provide life-saving training. SLSS provides free swimming training, first aid training and leadership training for school children, completely free of charge throughout the year. Several government ministers were present for the event.
The 135th anniversary celebrations of the International Medical Congress of the Sri Lanka Medical Association concluded today.
The 135th anniversary of the International Medical Congress of the Sri Lanka Medical Association was held from the 28th of September to the 1st of October. Governor of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka, Dr. Nandalal Veerasinghe, spoke at the event.
What we see, the tourism sector in general is very resilient to this kind of shocks. For example, in 2019, after the Sunday attack, by the end of the year, tourism recovered to a same level that we had before the Sunday attack. During the pandemic, globally tourism was affected adversely everywhere. And but still, at the beginning of the year, we saw after the pandemic, tourism was recovering in first 3 months of this year. And then, unfortunately, we had all the social unrest, travel adversaries, political instability. But I see now, with the situation improving gradually, by this season, we should be able to see some recovery in the tourism sector. First, we need to attract a lot more tourists. And once they come here, then only see how easier, how cost-effective the wellness tourism or medical tourism in Sri Lanka.
The Sri Lanka Medical Association is the oldest medical organization in Asia, dating back to the 1880s.
The Silver Jubilee South Asia Federation of Congress, in association with the 55th Annual Scientific Conference of the Sri Lanka College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, inauguration was held yesterday. The international conference will be held for 3 days.
The International Forum will take place to coincide with the Silver Jubilee celebrations of the South Asia Federation of Obstetricians and Gynecologists. The conference is being held from the 30th of September to the 2nd of October. The international conference aims to create a spotlight on Sri Lanka and bring a significant recognition and enhance the image of our island nation.
A turtle carcass was found along the Mount Lavinia beach this morning. Turtle carcasses of several turtles have been discovered along the Colombo coastlines over the past few weeks. The Department of Wildlife Conservation collected samples from the turtle carcass found on the Mount Lavinia beach this morning. Beachings of turtle carcasses were sighted throughout the month from Mount Lavinia, Negombo and Dehiwala. According to Marine Conservation Organization Pearl Protectors, the carcasses of around 18 sea turtles and 1 dolphin were found along the coastal lines of the Western Province.
We have been maintaining a database of where citizen scientists can submit these reports, and we have seen there's a significant increase in these deaths of these turtles. These turtles are mostly endangered or vulnerable, and so it's very important that we have to protect these turtles, especially when these turtles are dying in these numbers. Sri Lanka sees 5 out of 7 species of turtles coming to our shorelines, and the turtle season is supposed to start in November, and it's abnormal, it's unnatural to see such number of deaths happening right now in the western coast. We are getting new reports of turtles beaching, and we believe the actual number could be 10 times larger than the number of turtles that have been reported dying in the beaches right now. So,
according to the Department of Wildlife Conservation, post-mortem examinations have been carried out on these turtle carcasses. According to authorities, a specific reason for these deaths cannot be determined, as cases are different to each other. However, the post-mortem examination reports are yet to be made public by the authorities.
Autopsy results need to be released to the public, so to understand as to why these turtles are dying in our waters and beaching in our coastlines.
There is no doubt that during the past several months, disasters like the MT New Diamond and the Express Pearl caused massive damages to the sea of Sri Lanka. As an island nation, the ocean is the biggest asset Sri Lanka has. An unhealthy ocean could cause irreversible damage to the ocean floors, marine life and its biodiversity. Whose responsibility is it to protect the oceans of Sri Lanka? Is it the governments, the private sectors, or is it the responsibility of ordinary citizens like you and I? Sinitha Senanayaka, News First, Colombo. According to rating agency Fitch, the demand for beer may increase in the near future as the affordability for Sri Lankans may decline.
States that consumers may trade down from spirits to strong beer given beer's lower price point. The US-based credit ratings firm forecasts that the drop in sales volumes will be moderated in the next 12 to 18 months, assuming an ease in inflation spikes. Fitch also forecasts mild beer sales to rise on a gradual recovery in tourism. Excise duties from alcoholic beverage makers made up 11% of government tax revenue in the past year. However, with the imposition of a social security tax of 2.5% on revenue, in addition to the increase in value-added tax to 15% from 12%, may increase the price of alcoholic beverages.
The Korea International Cooperation Agency and United Nations Human Settlement Program signed a grant arrangement of $5.5 million for a project to assist communities affected by the COVID-19 pandemic in the Central and Uva provinces.
The Korea International Cooperation Agency and UN Habitat ceremoniously signed the grant agreement for the project titled Strengthening Socio-Economic Resilience of Communities Affected by the COVID-19 Pandemic in the Central and Uva provinces of Sri Lanka. The project will support a total of 60,218 people in the Nuwara district and 4,757 in the Badulla district. The project intends to increase access to sustainable, safe water and adequate sanitation for poor and vulnerable communities, reduce the prevalence of water sanitation and hygiene-related diseases through the promotion of personal hygiene, environmental practices and provision of infrastructure. The project also aims to improve the water and sanitation services at primary healthcare facilities, improve agricultural practices and extension services to enhance productivity for upliftment of rural and estate communities, and reduce post-harvest losses, increase food security and household income. The project is to be implemented in 5 divisional secretariats, namely Nuwara, Valapane, Hanguranketa, Kotmale and Abangamuwa in the Nuwara district, and 6 divisional secretariat divisions, namely Mahiyangane, Ridimaliadda, Haldamulla, Badulla, Bandaravela and Velimada in the Badulla district. During the COVID-19 pandemic in 2019, the government of Korea, through the Korea International Cooperation Agency, provided emergency support and special assistance to marginalized estate and rural communities in the Nuwara district in Sri Lanka to minimize health hazards of COVID-19.
The 4th edition of the Divisavya program, supported by LOLC Holdings, seeking to support the most impoverished communities in Sri Lanka, continued for the 27th day. Today's program was carried out centering the Vaunia district.
The aim of the Divisavya program is to support low-income earners to get nutritious meals on a daily basis. Day 27 of the 4th edition, supported by LOLC Holdings, got underway in the Vaunia district. Under the Divisavya program, essential goods are being distributed to low-income families facing serious financial difficulties across Sri Lanka.
The Indian High Commissioner Gopal Bagle attended the 26th graduation ceremony of the Eastern University.
The graduation ceremony of the Eastern University was held under the auspices of the Chancellor of the Eastern University, Professor M. Selvaraja.
I am very happy to announce that 100 scholarships every year will be given to students of Eastern University coming from economically backward backgrounds. Our focus is on bringing more investment to Sri Lanka in the areas of requirement and priority for Sri Lanka, such as ports, renewable energy, manufacturing, agriculture and education. This will help Sri Lanka's economy to recover faster and also generate employment and even stronger friendship between India and Sri Lanka and our fraternal people. Nandri, Dhanyavad, Bahumai Stuti.
The Indian High Commissioner also paid floral tribute to the statue of Mahatma Gandhi at Gandhi Park in Batiklo. The Indian High Commissioner then attended an event where dry rations were distributed among 200 families in the Batiklo district. India has helped us a lot today. When some countries give us loans, they make sure they grab us by the neck, but India has always hugged us. patted us on the back, shook our hands and treated us very cordially. We hope that India will assist us in finding solutions to certain long-term political issues that have been plaguing Sri Lanka.
A public rally was held in Kandy today under the theme, "Let's throw out the Ranil Rajapaksa junta, let's fight for the people's rights."
This was jointly organized by the Inter-University Students' Union and collective of trade unions and mass organizations.
During these trying times, lending a helping hand to a family is giving them hope for a better tomorrow. Gammadda continued in its endeavor to reach out and assisting low-income families and giving our fellow brothers and sisters hope for a brighter future.
With eyes full of tears and an empty stomach, the plight of these people have gone from bad to worse. Even in the face of insurmountable odds, the resilience of these families to provide for their children is unfathomable. Gammadda today distributed relief packs to residents of Ibbagamua, Kurunegala and surrounding villages at the Ibbagamua Divisional Secretariat. Nutrition packs for children below the age of 5 were also distributed in Paragahakele, Ampara.
An army captain in Burkina Faso has announced on national television that he has ousted military leader Lieutenant Colonel Paul Henry. More than 20 armed soldiers, most with their faces covered, appeared on state TV.
Army Captain Ibrahim Traore cited Lieutenant Colonel Damiba's inability to deal with an Islamist insurgency as the reason. He also announced that borders were closed indefinitely and all political activities were suspended. Lieutenant Colonel Damiba's whereabouts are not known. It is the second takeover in 8 months for the West African state. Damiba took power in a coup in January that overthrew former President Roch Kabul, also due in part to frustration over the worsening insecurity. Burkina Faso has been struggling to contain rebel groups.
And that brings us to the end of this edition of Prime Time News here on TV1. For more details on these stories, you can log on to our website, that is www.newsfirst.lk. For the News First team, I've been Senita Senanayaka. Take care and stay safe.